Hello everybody, my name is Mark Glazier. I am the founder of NutriBio Labs. Here to talk to you tonight a little bit about protein and protein scams. Now if you've heard of my top protein scam list, number 3 on that list is something called WPC bait and switch. And this is a very common practice in the sports supplement industry that's used to lower the value of the protein in your 2-pound tub to make it cheaper for the manufacturer. But in the end, you get a product that's just not going to do it for you in the gym. So to understand this, first let's define what whey protein concentrate is and what isolate is, so you really have an understanding of the two. So they're both, whey protein concentrate and isolate start out the same. They come from whey. Whey is garbage. It's 90-some-odd% fat, lactose, and sugar. So they take that stuff and they filter out all of that garbage. And the amount of the filtration is what changes the classification from whey isolate to whey concentrate or vice versa. They're both the same digestibility, both the same bioavailability, both have the same great amino acid profile. It's just how much protein is in there versus the other garbage. So the definition of a whey protein isolate is a protein coming from whey that's at least 90% protein on a dry basis. Dry basis is just a lab definition for without moisture. What goes in your bottle actually has moisture in it, so it's going to be a little lower in the high 80s. So it's a very high-end protein, WPI, that's at least 90%, and it's very low in lactose, very low in cholesterol, fat, and sugar, so it's a really clean protein. The definition, and these are all defined by the USDA, by the way. The USDA defines whey protein concentrate similar as a protein derived from whey. That's a minimum of 25% and a maximum of 89.9% protein value. After that, it's classified as an isolate. So there's a big range in there. There's a 65% range of protein value that a whey protein concentrate can be and still be classified and put on a label as a whey protein concentrate. And that's the start. That's the first part of the scam. Because if you just see the word whey protein concentrate on a label, you have no idea if it's 80% protein product or some subpar 35 or 25% protein product. So understanding that, you start to see the whey protein concentrate can be good or bad. Whey protein isolate by itself always has to be good. Now that doesn't mean that every whey concentrate is a bad product. The most common whey concentrate that everybody's heard of is WPC 80. That's the highest grade. 80% protein, very close to WPI, which is 90, 10% difference, which means more lactose. If you're lactose intolerant, you can't use it probably. A little more sugar, a little more fat, a little less protein and amino acid. An economical version, but still a very good protein compared to WPI. Both are great proteins. Try and find one though. Very, very difficult. Because nobody out there, I shouldn't say nobody, we list it, and there are now 1 or 2 companies that do it as well, but nobody really lists what type of whey protein concentrate because the federal regulations don't really require you. So when you look on all these bottles of protein on the shelves, you'll just see the term whey protein concentrate. You'll rarely, if ever, see WPC 80 or WPC 34 because that kind of tells the consumer what's in the product, and companies don't want you to know that. So what is this WPC 34? Well, there's a lot of classifications of commercially available whey protein concentrate. WPC 34, 45, 60, 75, and 80. Those numbers are the protein value of it. WPC 80 is very high. WPC is low, 34% protein. There's actually lower ones. You can't see my hand down there, but there's 25% whey protein concentrates. And this is where the bait and switch tactic come in. What companies do is they take their protein and they market it all around how great whey protein is, how great the amino acid profile is, how it matches the amino acid profile of muscle tissue, how it helps grow muscle, repair muscle, how its bioavailability and digestibility are so great. But that's the bait. When they actually put the product into the tub, they start to use very, very low grade. Not the 80%, but the 34 and 45% proteins. That's the switch. They talk about the benefit of the protein, but then they don't really put it in the product. They put subpar ingredients in there that don't have high protein value. So the technique is either to talk about the protein and put in a low grade. Now you couldn't really put all WPC 34 in a product because consumers are smart enough when they pick up a scoop that's this big. Wow, that's a huge scoop, 75 grams to get 25 grams of protein. They're going to figure that out. So what companies will usually do is they blend. They'll take whey protein 34%, whey protein 80 or something else, and they'll blend it down to get just to the ratio they want so they can get the cost of the bottle. See, that's all they're thinking of is how low they can get the cost get it into the consumer, and the consumer doesn't notice it. It's not too low that they figure it out, but it's right in that range where they don't notice and they buy the product. And interesting about the code is, like I said earlier, you don't have to put the type of whey concentrate on your label, but worse is, if you're using 2 or 3 whey concentrates, nobody even lists that. They just still use the term whey protein concentrate. They don't say whey protein concentrate 34, then 80. It's 2 separate ingredients, or 3 or 4 ingredients that a lot of companies put in there, but they don't list any of them. They just list it under a general term, whey protein concentrate. You, the consumer, have no clue, no idea what is in this product. Now, if you've listened to any of my other seminars, you'll always know I never talk about protein without talking about the protein ratio. And that's something you all have to know. It's easy to do, and that tells you everything about this product. You look at the supplement facts label, and where it says protein, that's the protein per serving, you take that number and divide it up into the serving size, which is right up here, and that gives you your protein value. That tells you how much of this 2-pound tub is actually protein. And that's a very important number, because people usually just look at 2 tubs. They're both 2 pounds, so they look at the price, 2 pounds, 2 pounds. They don't get as far as understanding that this 2-pound might only be 44% protein, while this 2-pound could be 88% protein, twice as high. That's the number that matters, because everybody just shops 2-pounders or 5-pounders, and worse, sometimes they look at the protein per scoop and say, oh, this one's 20 grams, this one's 30, this one's better. No, that has nothing to do with it. That doesn't tell you anything. You must take that number and divide it into. You must take the protein and divide it into the overall serving size to get that ratio. And if you go out to some stores now and you start pulling products off the shelf, you're going to be very surprised to see that you're going to do that ratio calculation, and products that are not meal replacements or gainer products that were adding other, fiber, fat, sugars in it to make it a full meal. No, you're going to take just pure protein products off the shelf, and you're going to do that protein calculation and expect it to be in that 80% range, and you're going to see stuff down at 44, 48, 50, 55, 60, 69% protein. And then you're going to see that, and you're going to start wondering, well, what the hell's the difference, the balance of that? If it's 44% protein, where's the other 56? What is it? Well, it's filler. It's garbage. Well, some will be flavor and stuff like that, but the rest will be low-grade proteins filled with fat, sugar, lactose, and other substrates that are in there that just give you garbage. So always do that calculation. I'll repeat it one more time. Protein per serving divided into total serving size. That gives you the ratio, and that tells you exactly what's in that bottle. Okay? Anyway, that's it. One last thing. If it says whey protein concentrate on the bottle, whether it's in a proprietary blend or not, it doesn't show the classification of WPC80 right on the supplement facts panel, do not buy it, because you don't want to take the chance that the product is garbage. One caveat is, if you do your protein calculation and it's up at 75 to 80%, then you know it's still a good product there. So now you've got an idea of what WPI is, what WPC is, what the different classifications of WPC are, why companies do this bait and switch tactic, and why those protein values go from 90% all the way down to like sometimes 40% of what's in the bottle. You can look at a label and you can understand it. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.